Hi Gemini, welcome to your June 2017 Astro Tarot forecast. My name is Charlotte from Astrology.com. This month I'll be doing things a little differently. We'll have two different readings, so if the first reading doesn't resonate with you, hopefully the second will, and maybe bring about some more information. Also, I'll be intuiting the cards as well as reading them this month, and we'll be focusing on the lunar events, which will be the June 9th full moon in Sagittarius and the June 24th new moon in Cancer. So I have oracle cards already laid out under the tarot cards to really define the emotional focus of the month. And it seems this month, Gemini, you are experiencing a new perspective. This new perspective is going to allow you to really narrow in on what your career options might be. You're going to really be able to listen to the advice of other people. I think some of you may have been obstinate about one person's advice in particular, but it's saying the winds of change are here, and I think you're really going to pull back by the end of the month and begin to really start to reflect on what it is that you want for the future and really change your perspective in that situation. There may be one celebration towards the beginning of the month, or maybe this is your birthday celebration that's going on for some of you. But this brings in a breath of fresh air for you and really clears away some of the mental fog maybe that you've had lately, or the inability to really see how you were going to change things or how you were going to move forward in the future. And that tends to happen to all of us right before our birthday, Gemini. So maybe you've been mulling a lot of things over in your head, and now you're really ready to take charge and ignite the fire, so to speak, and bring about those winds of change where you're really going to be able to focus. Now I'm going to lay the tarot over so we can really see what the events are compared to the emotional energy that we already have present. So I think a lot of you are really dissatisfied maybe in some of the work positions that you've had, or all that you've worked for up to this point may seem lost in some way. But I think you're going to be able to get a clearer perspective. I think some of you are feeling disappointed, maybe about some actions that you've had in the past. For some of you, this may pertain to a past relationship that you've had. In some ways, some of you are looking back at an older job and really wishing that you had that job back, or that you had a job like that. Some of you are just feeling very disappointed in your career field. I think the shakeup is going to come. It's going to strengthen you, but I think that there's something about older people, maybe grandparents or something, that's coming up here that's really sparking this change and helping you to come out feeling so alone, where you're going to really need to be in contact, perhaps maybe even with your family. And I'm surprised to see that here for you, Gemini. I've been getting that for a lot of signs, but I see that it's definitely one of your focuses here this month, maybe about elders within your family, and there may be a sudden windfall or sudden change. I think some of you are really thinking back to childhood experiences, and you're really sort of feeling a lot of vulnerability and emotional outrage about certain events. And this may be you releasing all of this vulnerability and feeling like you've been maybe abused or left out in some way in your childhood. This may really come forward for some of you in your present day relationships. Oftentimes our parents and partners, the energy is very much the same, and that the energies that we're bound to here on earth within the 7th house are either going to go to one area or another. From a psychological point of view, this is exactly what happens. People see this as the relationship with your parents becomes the relationship with your partner. But that's not necessarily so. We have relationships that are bound by moon energy, which is our relationship with our mother, and bound by Saturn energy, which is the relationship to our father. Either way, and when the transits go around and your relationships phase changes, when it hits that 7th house, if it doesn't fall with your parents, it's going to go to your partners. That energy has to go somewhere. So that's where you get to use free will and really change things according to new perspectives within your relationship, maybe perhaps from learning from what you went through with your parents or how you perceive your parents' relationship, and stop yourself from projecting that into your present day relationship. I feel like some of you are really pulling back from a partner, and some of you are seeking out other relationships that are bound in temptation, I think. And this may be reaching out to someone online, really just thinking about this person and bringing them into view so that they feel the same vibe and they reach out to contact you. This vulnerable feeling or emotional energy or anger may be directed towards another air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, or this may be you. This could be a female. I feel like the shakeup that's going to change you is going to come up between you and a partner or a parent. And then there's a period of waiting. It's almost like then the silent treatment begins. So there's like an outburst, and then it's followed by a silent treatment. And that seems to have come up in your readings before, Gemini. Certainly some of you have moved away from different family members and really tried to create different outcomes with other people that surround you. And it may be that you need to go back and pick up some of those older family relationships. It seems like you thought that there was going to be some type of celebration, but it falls short. For some of you, you have a third-party influence. This goes back to you moving on from one relationship that you're dissatisfied with and reaching out either by thought or actual physical contact to another person. Maybe you're reaching out to them online. If some of you have been worried about your health, I see you starting to feel better this month, in the month of June, especially by that new moon in Cancer that takes place on June the 24th. I think around that time period is when you're going to be feeling better. You may start reaching out to this other person because it seems like the beginning of the month is really fraught with a lot of emotional distraction within relationships. And you do have that full moon June the 9th in your relationship sector, which is the sign of Sagittarius for Gemini. It seems like there could be an actual breakup I'm seeing here, Gemini, in that first week of June, I'm afraid, for some of you. I'm seeing that there could be an actual breakup for you, for some of you Geminis, in that first week. And if that happens, it's best to let it go and move on at a later time, because we have the Hangman here. I don't think anything's going to be decided right now. I think this is just more angst and regret, and a lot of this has to do with you being unable to produce what you feel like is your own value related to employment or related to everything that you've worked for thus far. This could be with a degree, this could be with a long-standing career, but it just seems like there's a lot of frustration and it's flowing over into your relationship. Someone may have some words for you that aren't that pleasant, so to try to cut through to the truth. I think that there's one older person that you can turn to for advice, and this goes along with you changing your perspective that I mentioned in the beginning of the reading, where we see this emotional influence of you almost refusing to listen to the advice of anyone else, and then finally turning to the advice of an older person. And this could be someone who has maintained a structural center within your family unit, maybe the family that you grew up in or the family that you're involved in now. I think that you're going to turn to someone to ask them to really help you focus on the future, to see a new perspective, and to be able to learn a new skill, to learn how to create something. Some of you are going back to school, and I think that you need the advice of an older person, maybe a Capricorn, a Taurus, or Virgo, to really complete that mission. Some of you are just spending a lot of idle time. You're spending a lot of idle time supposing, dreaming about what it is that you want to do and not really having a focus. I think by the end of the month, you're going to start to find that focus. But I think for a lot of this month, it seems like you are just kind of wanting to spend a lot of downtime and avoid all of the disappointments that you have in your mind with employment, career, relationships, and school. Some of you, by the end of the month, have just realized you're spending way too much time alone. You're not getting the satisfaction of fulfillment of hard work, and you're maybe dreading going back to work, or you're dreading a new job that you're starting, but you're also realizing that you've spent way too much time at home and that you just have idle hands and they're not being productive. And so that may be the argument that you have with your partner. Maybe your partner is not wanting to take a certain position and you're wanting them to, and the partner says, hey, well, you're not doing X, Y, and Z, and so I'm going to need you to come up and do something. So I think that this shakeup in your relationship, in this waiting period, is going to be about some sort of truth coming out. Maybe you coming to a compromise with your partner, or you're able to find out some information. For some of you, if you are involved with a third party, this may be information that an affair is coming to light here. For others of you, this is just about you wielding your own power. It's almost like you're being forced to wield your own power, but nevertheless, I think you come up with that by the end of the month. We still have some reversals here at the end of the month. So again, that Hanged Man is true here in saying that this is a process for you. This is a mental process that you're going to really have to take the reins of and get a hold on your future perspective. It's up to you, Gemini. No one can lead you down the road and hold your hand. If you want certain things, if you have certain family goals in mind that you're really shooting for, then you have to do the work. They're not going to just mysteriously appear unless you win the lottery or something, and we know how what little chances we all have of that. So you have to really do the work to get to where you want to go, and no one is going to bring it to you on a silver platter. And I think that this slothfulness or this laziness that you're having here for some of you is about being in this dream state. And for a lot of you, that's because Neptune is square your sun right now and will be for some time. So you really have to realize that you are being prone to this laid back mentality right now and this dreamy state, and you have to almost like work yourself, fake it till you make it sort of thing. You have to work through the sludge to get to where you want to go, because it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take a lot of focus. And for you, I mean a lot right now, because it seems like you're just fighting it all the way. So I'm going to do one more reading, Gemini, and then we'll see how that changes your perspective. All right, Gemini, so I think that is definitely a synchronistic event that we have certain cards that are here in this reading using a different deck, and the emotional undercurrent is very much the same. I think for some of you, again, you have stress about a certain career field or job. Again, we have heartbreak on the table and this very angry influence that comes in very suddenly, much like we had in the last reading. There's a childlike influence here where you're really trying to wield a new craft. You're wanting to go out on this new journey. You have all of these new ideas, and some of them just are not grounded in reality. But you're feeling like, oh, I need to follow my dreams. This is what I need to do. By the end of the month, we again have you trying to move forward, but you're still feeling like you're left out in the cold. You don't have enough money to really do the things that you want to do. We have the Tower here again in this reading, and also a same card that represents the Ace of Swords. This is the Triumphant card here. So I think this shakeup does bring out the truth about a certain relationship, and I think there is heartbreak here. I think that information comes forward by the end of the month, but I think it culminates or reaches a peak by that June 9th full moon in Sagittarius, which is your relationship sector. This is telling you, the spiritual guidance really is almost alive in the reading, and it's saying that you have to be your own hero here. No one is going to save you. This other relationship, not going to save you. None of these relationships are going to save you. You have to be courageous. You need to be bold. You need to go after what it is that you want in a career, and it needs to be grounded in reality. You need to learn a new skill in order to take hold of this career. And you need to move. You need to do it now. You don't need to wait. If you have things that are binding you, keeping you from taking the classes that you need to move those things out of the way. You need to get your priorities in focus, and you need to be your own activist and stay on top of things regarding your career and how you're going to produce an income. I think that this shakeup really does define a change within your relationships. This could be with parents or partners, but there is a definite ending that's taking place here. It's almost like a point where you're realizing, where you're going to be able to think back in the future and you're going to say, okay, that was the point where things began to change. For some of you, you've been caught up in a Venus retrograde. We've had the Mercury retrograde, which really had a big effect on Geminis and really played with their minds a lot. On top of that, again, you have Neptune squaring your sign. Things are not clear. You're in this dreamy state of mind. You aren't willing to see things as they are. You don't want to listen to the advice of other people. And all of this has you stressed. It's almost like you've become a child right now and you're like, I want to do what I want to do. But that's just not going to work out for you, Gemini. But what will work out is you being your own hero, you being your own personal guide in relationships, you finding your self-worth through a career field that really promotes the best part of you. Not the part that wants to argue with authority, but the part who is good at communicating, who is skillful at multitasking, who comes up with new ideas, who has the gift of gab, and is able to really smooth things over, maybe in the marketplace or within the career field of your choosing. I think that Geminis are great communicators. The issue that Gemini has been facing is getting out of their own way. Don't talk over people. Everybody knows that you are skilled, that you have great ideas, but they're going to realize it more if you don't argue and talk over people and are so determined to be right in every situation, because nobody is. And everyone on the outside can see, hey, you're not right all the time. They may not say it, but they're thinking it. And so I think that this shakeup is going to come from you really maybe realizing the truth of your own perspective and really seeing that you do have a lot of good skills, but also counting in those negative qualities too within the practice of communication for you. For some of you, this is going to be you taking on an internship, you working under someone who's going to be your supervisor and becoming willing in the future to let this person mold you, to help you understand what your strengths are and what your negatives are as well, because we become stronger through learning about the bad qualities, or about seeing our own bad qualities. And everybody has them. I'm not just picking on you, Gemini. Everyone has negative qualities. The balance of negative and positive is really what helps us learn and grow. We have strength here. I think we had this in the last reading. So I feel like you are feeling better. You are going to gain this clear perspective. You are going to move forward, but it's going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, definitely. I think right now you need to plan for the future, and that means no longer sitting around dreaming, Gemini. You've got to make a list. By this date, I'm going to have this done. Then I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this. And I'm going to accrue all of these resources that are really going to help me learn. And I have a plan. I have a grounded plan. Us air signs, I'm an Aquarius myself, and us air signs, we have a hard time. We're great visionaries. And we're great about coming up with plans, but the execution tends to be lost, because that is what our purpose is as an air sign, is to be the visionary for other people. Sometimes earth signs can't see the vision. They know how to execute, but they can't see the vision. And that's how we learn to work together with other people and respect their value as well as our own. So I think that that is the message that is definitely here for you. I'm sorry about this relationship issue that you're having here. I think it does have a lot to do with how you're valuing yourself, and maybe you're feeling like you're not valued enough in a relationship, or your partner is not seeing your own value. For some of you, this could actually be a divorce happening this month. That's only going to be for a few of you. Definitely some shakeups and changes, some truths coming out in relationships. Focus on your career. There's a light ahead. Follow that light. wherever you feel the light, Gemini, that's leading you out of this darkness, out of this dark relationship barrier, so to speak, or feeling like you're not worthy or not being able to see yourself in a true light, look for whoever is bringing you this light. There's someone that's willing to help you, an older person that's willing to help you, to guide you, to help you learn a new skill. And I think that is where you're going to move forward in the future. Get that plan in order. Be ready to execute it by the end of the month. I think you're going to have some choices with your career field. You're going to need to make a choice within your relationships. But I think that you are shooting for that stable home and family foundation. Reach out to your family members for advice. Realize that there are shakeups with parents and partners this month. Those are the possibilities. And I wish you the best in June, Gemini. I'll see you next time.